Welcome to Mysterious Universe, where cosmic curiosity meets thrilling imagination. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the most extreme environments in our solar system. But this time, it's personal. Imagine this. You wake up, weightless, floating just above the rings of Saturn. No spaceship, no crew, just you, and an experimental suit designed to survive the impossible. Below you looms a giant unlike any other, Saturn. The gas colossus with swirling storms, mysterious magnetic fields, and crushing pressure that could flatten a city in seconds. The mission? Simple. Descend through every layer of Saturn's atmosphere, uncover what lies hidden in its depths, and transmit the data back home. The odds? Astronomically against you. Scientists have long studied Saturn from afar, marveling at its hypnotic rings and giant storms. But there's a reason no probe has ever come back from deep inside this planet. It eats technology, vaporizes metal, and its interior is still largely unknown. In this video, we're asking the impossible. What if a human being could fall into Saturn wearing nothing but a futuristic survival suit? What would you see? What would you feel? And most importantly, how long could you last? From icy ammonia clouds to metallic hydrogen oceans, from diamond rainstorms to the crushing weight of Saturn's core, this journey is as much about wonder as it is about survival. You'll experience winds faster than any hurricane, plunge through chemical layers stranger than any on Earth, and face heat that could melt titanium. This is not just another space documentary. This is a sci-fi thrill ride grounded in real science. So buckle up, explorer. You're about to go where no human has ever dared, inside Saturn. If you enjoy stories that push the boundaries of science and imagination, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Your journey into the unknown begins now. As Chase's spacecraft sliced into Saturn's orbit, the first thing that took his breath away wasn't the crushing gravity or the swirling gas, but the rings. They weren't just beautiful, they were mesmerizing. From a distance, they looked like fine threads of silver silk circling a golden orb. But as Chase got closer, he realized the truth. Saturn's rings were an endless graveyard of shattered moons, icy fragments, and space debris, each one a silent witness to ancient violence. Stretching over 175.000 miles wide, yet no thicker than a single kilometer, these rings are deceptively delicate, made mostly of ice particles, rocks, and dust. They shimmer like a halo. But these aren't just pretty ornaments. They tell a darker story of destruction, rebirth, and invisible forces. Chase maneuvered carefully toward the E-ring, Saturn's most distant and mysterious loop. It glowed faintly, almost like mist. What made it special wasn't just its size, but its source. Saturn's tiny moon Enceladus hides a massive subsurface ocean, and geysers from that hidden sea shoot water vapor and ice crystals into space. These particles are what feed the E-ring. It's as if Enceladus is whispering secrets into Saturn's halo. But the journey wasn't smooth. As Chase's craft passed through the ring, tiny ice bullets battered his shielding. It was like flying through a frozen storm. The ship trembled, instruments blinked, and then, silence. That's when he saw them. Tangles, braids, twists. The F-ring came into view. Not smooth and uniform like the others. This one was chaotic, constantly shifting. Two tiny moons, Prometheus and Pandora, danced around it like cosmic troublemakers. Their gravity pulled the ring into knots, clumps, and spirals. It was alive, in a way, changing, moving, reacting. It was clear. Saturn's rings weren't just passive leftovers. They were dynamic, responsive systems. A living record of the planet's complex ballet with its moons. Chase was captivated. But behind the beauty was a question no one could fully answer. Where did these rings come from? Were they the remains of a shattered moon? The icy leftovers of planetary formation? Or the result of a collision that changed Saturn's fate forever? Scientists have theories, but no proof. As Chase flew deeper toward the inner rings, he knew this was just the beginning. The gateway to Saturn had opened, and beyond it lay storms that raged for centuries. Moons with buried oceans, And a planet that somehow glows with more heat than it receives from the sun. What secrets still swirl within the gas giant's grasp? The answer, Chase thought, might be worth risking everything. The deeper Chase flew, the more Saturn began to shed its peaceful illusion. What once seemed like a tranquil golden marble surrounded by glittering rings soon revealed itself as a monstrous cauldron of violence and chaos. Hovering above the planet's north pole, Chase encountered something that defied reason, a perfect hexagon etched into the clouds. Nearly 9.000 miles long and 18.000 miles wide. This massive hurricane system is shaped like no storm seen anywhere else in the solar system. On Earth, storms are spirals. On Jupiter, they're turbulent ovals. But Saturn? Saturn crafts geometry into weather. Rico, is that even real? Chase whispered to his onboard AI. Confirmed. Atmospheric winds circling at over 320 kilometers per hour, 200 miles per hour. Hexagonal stability sustained by planetary jet streams. But why a hexagon? Why such perfection in such chaos? No one knows for sure. Some scientists believe it's caused by fluid dynamics, waves of fast-moving air crashing into slower currents, forming a standing wave, but that only scratches the surface. Others speculate that something deeper, perhaps something within Saturn's interior, could be influencing the structure. It's almost as if Saturn itself is sending out a signal, carved in storms, encoded in shapes we barely understand. As Chase descended, the winds screamed louder. He passed through bands of ammonia clouds, each colored in subtle yellows and browns, each layer boiling with heat and rage. And then he remembered something even more terrifying. Every 30 Earth years, Saturn erupts in what astronomers call the Great White Spot, a planet-sized storm that engulfs its atmosphere. In 2010, this storm grew so immense it circled the globe in months, flashing with lightning and altering Saturn's chemical makeup. Chase checked the date. Rico, when's the next one? Estimated in 2040. Current conditions, unstable. Probability of early onset, increasing. A chill ran down his spine. What if he was flying into the next one? Saturn's weather isn't driven only by the sun. The planet emits twice as much energy as it receives, an internal furnace whose source is still unknown. Some theories suggest helium rain, droplets falling through Saturn's hydrogen layers, releasing heat. Others hint at deeper nuclear processes or exotic quantum interactions. No one can say for sure. As Chase fought the turbulence, his ship rattled like a toy in a thunderstorm. Red lightning cracked through the clouds, illuminating towers of gas miles high. The deeper he went, the less it felt like science, and the more it felt like entering the wrathful heart of a god. Down here, Saturn wasn't just a planet. It was alive. And it was watching. As the golden cloud layers closed in around Chase's vessel, the world outside turned darker. The gentle light from Saturn's upper atmosphere faded into a glowing murk. It was time to descend below the clouds into what few probes had ever seen and none had returned from Saturn's troposphere and beyond. The ship trembled as it broke through the top of the ammonia clouds. Temperatures plunged to minus 175 degrees Celsius, minus 283 degrees Fahrenheit. And winds whipped at nearly 1.800 kilometers per hour, 1.120 miles per hour, near the equator. Saturn's immense size and rapid rotation, a full spin every 10.5 hours, creates the fastest jet streams in the solar system. Chase realized too late. He had entered right at the equator, the most dangerous point of descent. Rico, reduce vertical velocity. Warning. Manual override required. Wind shear exceeding safe parameters. The ship dropped again, fast. Outside, yellow fog roared. His heat shields groaned. Then, a break. The winds stilled. Chase floated between storm bands, momentarily safe inside what scientists call the eye layers, calm zones hidden within Saturn's chaotic skies. But it wasn't peace. It was silence before deeper violence. A few hundred kilometers below, Chase reached a bizarre layer, one composed of ammonium hydrosulfide clouds. Thick and pungent, The pressure here had risen to 5 bars, like diving 50 meters underwater. The colors of Saturn deepened, sulfur reds, burnt oranges, and bruised purples. Chase checked his readouts. Pressure: 10 bars. Temperature: 0 degrees Celsius. Welcome to the water ice cloud deck. It was here that Cassini had stopped. It had skimmed the edge of this realm before its final dive. Now Chase was going further. Beneath the water cloud deck lies Saturn's secret, the point where gas becomes liquid. The air began to feel heavier. The hydrogen-rich atmosphere compressed and thickened, pressing against his ship like an invisible ocean. At around 500 kilometers deep, the hydrogen turned liquid, a shimmering, translucent sea of impossible density. The view changed. There were no more clouds, no storms, no light. Just liquid darkness. Chase's vessel adjusted for buoyancy, trying to float. His hands trembled. Was this what it felt like to fly through a star's bloodstream? Suddenly, sensors lit up, a strange signal, rhythmic pulses echoing through the liquid. They weren't natural turbulence. They had a pattern. Chase leaned in. Rico, is that seismic activity? Negative. Signal irregular. Unknown origin. Chase's breath caught. Beneath the ocean of liquid hydrogen, something was humming. Something was alive, or at least, still active. It was then he remembered the stories, ancient myths about Saturn as a god of time, of endings, of hidden truths. What if Saturn wasn't just a planet? What if it was hiding something? Beneath the dense ocean of liquid hydrogen lies a realm where science begins to falter. Chase is entering a zone no spacecraft or robot has ever returned from. And here, a strange phenomenon begins. Hydrogen is transforming into metal. Unlike anything observed on Earth, this hydrogen is no longer a gas or a liquid as we know it. Under pressures exceeding 1 million bars, hydrogen atoms are crushed so tightly that their electron shells overlap, forming a vast ocean of metallic hydrogen, a state where liquid behaves like a powerful electrical conductor. Chase stares silently at the shimmering readouts. Silvery reflections dance across his screen. He feels like he's floating through a sea of glowing mercury. But this is the beating heart of the gas giant. Rico. Log chemical composition. Confirmed. Metallic hydrogen layer. Depth 25.000 kilometers. Temperature? 5.000 degrees Celsius. And rising. Suddenly, an anomaly emerges. Beneath the metallic layer, sensors detect intense heat and a magnetic field far stronger than Earth's dynamic core. The swirling current of metallic hydrogen is generating a magnetic force that stretches across Saturn and beyond. But then, something else. A void. Not caused by darkness, but by a lack of data. Radar signals begin to return slower. Chase leans closer. It's as if a massive empty space is buried deep within the planet. A place where signals vanish and silence takes hold. Rico, could this be a cavern? A hollow pocket? Unknown. Volume indeterminate. Mass deficit detected. The only explanation? A giant empty chamber near Saturn's core. Perhaps a natural anomaly never seen before, or worse, an artificial structure? A thought creeps in. What if Cassini wasn't destroyed, but intercepted? What if Saturn is a cosmic black box, hiding secrets not meant for human eyes? The ship sinks deeper, pressure builds. In the distance, a faint blue glow begins to swirl, like a vortex of plasma at the center of the planet. Chase holds his breath. Rico, am I seeing Saturn's core? There is no answer. Only silence, crushing pressure, and the chilling feeling that something in the dark is watching. Chase's ship trembled violently. But this wasn't the usual turbulence from pressure. This was something else. Something deep below was pulsing, like a heartbeat, a signal, a warning, or perhaps a sign of life? Rico, where are we going? Chase shouted, as the display flickered under a sudden pressure surge. But Rico didn't respond. All onboard electronics began glitching. Lights flashed erratically. The radar spun out of control. The data recorder screeched, like a distorted melody playing in reverse. Then, silence. Total, absolute silence. Everything stopped. Chase looked out the window and couldn't believe his eyes. Before him wasn't hydrogen. It wasn't plasma. It was a structure. Yes, a perfectly symmetrical shape. A glowing, geometric form with patterns not of this earth. It looked like a building, but it couldn't be natural. Could this be an ancient observation post? A black box, planted by some other civilization within the cores of gas giants? Is Saturn part of a vast galactic surveillance network? A silent gatekeeper among the stars? Suddenly, the video feed crackled back to life. A blurry image appeared, Cassini, but not falling into the core like NASA had claimed. No, it was being pulled in, held in place, preserved. Chase froze. Cassini wasn't destroyed. It was captured. We were never meant to come here, he whispered. Something, or someone, has been watching. But it was too late. A massive surge of energy erupted from the glowing structure. Rico reactivated and screamed. Warning. Core ejection imminent. Saturn was ejecting the ship. A burst of force from deep within hurled Chase back into space at hypersonic velocity. As if the planet wanted him to survive, to tell the story. When Chase regained consciousness, he was floating in space. Far behind him, Saturn glowed dimly, a silent, watchful giant. The ship was wrecked. But the data was intact. And that was the most terrifying part. What he had uncovered would forever change humanity's understanding of the cosmos. But the question remains. Is humanity ready to know the truth? If you believe the universe still holds secrets beyond imagination, hit like, share, and subscribe to Mysterious Universe. We'll keep guiding you through the unknown, one extraordinary step at a time.